What you see on the screen are works from what appear to be two distinct human disciplines. The one on the left is a scientific idea known as the uncertainty principle, which was proposed by German physicist Werner Heisenberg. And the one on the right is a painting titled Cups for Picasso by American painter Jasper Johns. Now, what if I told you that both of them convey the same message? That the fundamentals of both works are unintentionally intertwined, and that neither the physicist nor the artist was aware of it. This is the story of how modern art depicted the bizarre world of quantum mechanics. You may have learned about Heisenberg's uncertainty principle in high school, so I won't go into detail about it. To summarize, in 1927, Werner Heisenberg declared that it is impossible to simultaneously predict both the momentum and position of a subatomic particle. The more precisely you measure one factor, the more difficult it is to measure the other. You might be wondering what this has to do with the artwork. Well, Cups for Picasso is also based on the same notion. You can only observe one thing at a time, Picasso's face or the vase, but not both at the same time. It is truly fascinating to see how an artist visually captured such a complex idea that had yet to be fully comprehended by words. Of course, the artist was totally unaware of such a principle, and nor was he interested in following any scientific breakthroughs. Surprisingly, Jasper Johns was not the only artist who conveyed this idea of uncertainty. Pavel Chelichu, Salvador Dali, and Marcel Duchamp are a few others who portray this complexity of the quantum world. So, how do artists come up with these ideas when they aren't involved in the scientific community or vice versa? In his book Art and Physics, Parallel Visions in Space, Time and Light, Leonard Shlain emphasizes on the concept of zeitgeist. Zeitgeist is a German term that roughly translates to the spirit or mood of a given time period. He explains that when discoveries in unrelated fields begin to appear at the same time, as if they are connected, but the thread that connects them is clearly not causal, it is due to the presence of a zeitgeist. The earliest artwork I could find that portrayed this idea of uncertainty was Picasso's Artist and His Model, which dates back to 1927. Around the same time, Heisenberg declared his new principle. But I'm sure there are many others that date even further back, like this image you see here, which unfortunately I couldn't find the name of. Picasso depicts the artist painting his model in this artwork. The model is rather difficult to find to the untrained eye, but the artist is relatively easy to find despite the fact that it is very abstract. The model is on the far left with the teeny tiny hands and a head. This encapsulates Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. If one factor is observed with a certain degree of accuracy, then the other factor becomes far less accurate. So who comes up with the idea first, the scientist or the artist? Shlain leans more towards the artistic side, claiming that more often than not, it is the artist who conveys an idea that has yet to be described in words. Scientists are the ones who later make the discovery that solidifies the meaning of the artwork and give their discovery a narrative description. Consider abstract art, which is a type of art that lacks a recognizable image. That is precisely what the quantum realm is. An abstract art was born around the same time when a physicist said he couldn't mentally picture an atom. We still find the quantum realm to be a bizarre and fascinating place. Despite the fact that modern quantum mechanics was introduced in 1925, abstract art has been existing from 1911, more than a decade earlier. Both convey the same message but in different ways. The first simply conveys the concept in an indirect manner, whereas the second attempts to demonstrate its existence. Leonard Shlain explains that in order to learn something radically new, we must first visualize it. He gives us the perfect analogy. A baby develops an association between the image of a bottle and a feeling of satisfaction long before he or she can speak. The baby groups the various angles of the bottle and assigns an abstract meaning that encompasses the entire object. This step in abstraction allows the infant to understand the idea of bottleness. Still, without language, the baby can now signal desire by pointing. Thus, to learn something completely new, we must first visualize it. We must first imagine it. Our ability to assign a visual meaning to abstract ideas diminishes as we age. Consider the concepts of economics, space-time continuum, and freedom for example. We can only imagine the words associated with them and not a visual representation. Thus, our ability to learn new things greatly decline as we age. And in order for society to bear a radical paradigm shift while reducing its impact on our safety bubble, revolutionary artists transmit these new ideas in advance, either directly, indirectly, consciously, or subconsciously. The world is my idea. Plato proposed in his tale that humans are like prisoners chained to a low wall in a cave, unable to turn around and witness firsthand the activities of real people going about their daily lives. All they can perceive are shadows and sounds that are associated with them. Real is what one perceives, so they will never see reality for what it truly is. Immanuel Kant reinforces this idea by saying, we can know the nature of things only by what filters through our senses and is processed by our mind, but we can never directly experience the thing in itself. The faculty we use to understand and process the objective reality is our imagination. Somewhere within the matrix of our brain, we construct a separate reality created by a disembodied thinking consciousness. This inner reality is unconnected to external space and exists outside the stream of linear time. The concept of an objective universe has been abstained from in the world of quantum mechanics, and subjectivity, the arch nemesis of all sciences, has been admitted as a key participant. John Wheeler, a student of Bohr, proposed that the universe and the mind are somehow connected, that our universe must be a participatory phenomenon requiring the act of observation and thus consciousness itself. Consider the nature of light, which acts as both a wave and a particle. However, its behavior is dependent on how it is being observed. The subjective act of selecting which measuring device to use influences the outcome in some way. So, to truly comprehend the nature of a subatomic particle, we must then fully understand both its wave-like and particle-like properties. This principle that the nature of reality can only be understood by two properties of one phenomenon can also be applied to the realm of art and physics. On the one hand, art, whether consciously or unconsciously, normalizes new ideas. Physics, on the other hand, strives to establish the same concept in a way that is broadly accepted. Then, in order to properly comprehend the function of the universe, we'll need a revolutionary artist who imagines more than what he sees, as well as a physicist who attempts to comprehend what is that he sees.